It is time for Deal or No Deal.
I signed for them after the Euros, and after my first day's training, I was driving home. I was actually thinking, regretting what have I done? Like I walked into a circus.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is 9:41.
I signed for them after the Euros, and after.
It's on a loop there. It's 9:41 this morning here, and for those of you who are unfamiliar with Deal or No Deal at this stage, we take all of the best and worst transfer rumours doing the rounds on the internet, and we give them a rating to see exactly how likely or otherwise they're going to be. Well, look, the Leo Messi story has obviously been dominating stuff just recently, but at least we've got something else to talk about this morning. We have Donny van de Beek set to join Manchester United for 45 million. It's 45 million euros, 40 million quid from Ajax, despite a late attempt, apparently, from Spurs to hijack the deal. Why are Manchester United buying the 23-year-old Dutch rising star? Does he fix any of Manchester United's current problems? Phil is with us this morning. Phil, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Ger. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Does Donny van de Beek actually serve a purpose for Manchester United as they currently stand, or is this good future planning?
It's a bit of both. He's only 23, so we've obviously seen he was part of that brilliant Ajax team that got to the Champions League semi-final a couple of seasons ago, and he gives you a different option. It looks like Solskjaer, the way he's doing things, is going to play that 4-2-3-1, and Matic has played there, Fred has played there. Pogba seems to be, it seems to be Pogba plus one. So if you put Van de Beek in there, does that mean that, you know, he's not seen as a protector as such? But I think for United to evolve, they need players that can hold on to the ball, and Van de Beek is one of those kind of players.
I like your Dutch pronunciation of it there, correcting us there subtly. Go on, give it to me again.
Well, I mean, think about Amsterdam, Beek. I mean, it works well, doesn't it?
Hey, Nathan, you got a story about that, don't you?
No comment. It's a bit early. For the watershed.
Van de Beek? Is that how you do it? Give it again.
Go on, Phil.
Give us it again.
Van de Beek.
Van de Beek.
Van de Beek, yeah.
All right.
You're doing your David Moyes accent when you're doing it.
Well, you have to, isn't it? Isn't that the? I mean, otherwise you're just being arrogant. You're just being like a Brexiteer, Nathan.
This is a great signing.
Is it?
Manchester United, like Donny van de Beek.
Where does he play?
Well, you can't have too many good players.
No, but where does he play?
Well, he can play in any number of positions, which is exactly why he's such a good signing. This is what we were talking about with Liverpool earlier. This is what Liverpool should be doing. Firstly, from a purely financial point of view, you're preempting potentially at some stage the departure of Paul Pogba, and you have somebody who can sit into that role. But also, as Phil said, in the system he wants to play with, Van de Beek can play in a number of different spots, and also he can rotate those players. So at the moment, he starts with Martial furthest up top. You got Rashford on the left, Greenwood on the right, Fernandes in the middle. And if any of them are injured, what happens? What happens? Daniel James might come in instead of Greenwood. But they have a big problem. Whereas now, actually, one of them gets injured. Van de Beek can step in instead of Fernandes. He could probably play on the right-hand side if you needed him as well. Or he can play, as he did quite a bit this season with Ajax after the departure of Frankie de Jong and Lasse Schöne, play as one of the two, play as a deeper lying player.
So he's taking Matic or Fred out of the team?
Well, that's going to be the big question for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because that does seem like it would be somewhat kamikaze football of going with a midfield two of Paul Pogba and Donny van de Beek. Like, you've got incredible attacking talent there, the range of passing, and you could overwhelm maybe the vast majority of teams. I'd be shocked if you're going up against Liverpool or Manchester City or big Champions League games if you went with the two of them. As much as Van de Beek can get around the pitch and is a strong tackler and can do that side of it and is a far better ball player than Fred or Matic, I don't think Fred or Matic are the answer either. I think there's probably somebody else they need in that sort of role. It does seem as though it would be a bit crazy, a bit too attacking. But he can play instead of Pogba. You could play Pogba in a more advanced role if you want. I would certainly prefer to see Van de Beek picking the ball up deep inside his own half than Paul Pogba, who has that massive tendency to switch off. So I think he opens up the possibility of all sorts of rotation of 5 or 6 players.
Is there a fear, though, that actually, is he genuinely good enough, or is this another Daily Blind who's going to come in, be able to play loads of situations, and actually you realise 18 months in, that was just a waste of time?
Well, he's going to have to go and prove it, but he's done it consistently in the Champions League for the last couple of seasons. Scored the goal against Spurs, knocked out Juventus. He has delivered the goods in these big games already for for Ajax. United are only getting him, I think, because of what happened in the pandemic. He was on the verge of going to Real Madrid before all of this broke down, so an opportunity has presented itself. And I think for 40 million, again, he's just the sort of player, the versatility he offers, the quality he has, and remember, United, like all these teams, 2 games every single week from pretty much this week till next May, heading into the Euros. He's going to get a lot of game time.
Yeah.
If he stays fit, he's going to get 40 games easily.
He's essentially Jesse Lingard's replacement in some ways.
You can play for Bruno Fernandes as well. You could replace Bruno Fernandes if they want to take Bruno out of the team for a few games. We saw Bruno Fernandes look knackered at the end of last season, so he can play anywhere in a central position. But I said he's only 23, so he's a player that I know when Dennis Bergkamp was in charge of, was looking after the youth players at Ajax, he was a player that he talked up. He said, this guy is unbelievable. Actually, at one stage compared himself to Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp compared him, Van den Beek, to Bergkamp, but probably plays a little bit deeper than obviously than Bergkamp did.
Because Bergkamp's ego doesn't seem that ridiculous. I mean, he looks like the man who has the biggest ego in the world, but the book didn't suggest that he had the biggest ego in the world. Maybe I was just reading it through Dennis Bergkamp glasses. Is Bergkamp a giant ego? This guy could be as good as me. Is he? Generally?
I don't think so. I think it was more his style of football, maybe.
Well, look, I mean...
Not he's going to be one of the all-time greats.
Because Bergkamp was pretty close to it. Right, we learned yesterday that La Liga do not recognise Leo Messi's claim that the legal deadline for him to declare his intention to leave Barcelona on a free transfer was not extended due to the season finishing later than planned. A long way of saying La Liga says, Messi, shut up. Sit down, play for Barcelona. We can't afford to lose you. So the 700 million release clause is, according to La Liga, back in play. The Daily Mail report that the City Group, as they're now officially referred to as opposed to Manchester City, are offering a 450 million 5-year deal, which will see him pay for... sorry, it is actually the City Group. I get it now. So he's going to play for Man City, and then he move to New York City, and then they'll be like...
the City Group, in brackets, Abu Dhabi.
This can't be allowed to happen, surely. I mean, I suppose there's nothing they can do to stop it. He'll just get transferred from Manchester City to the MLS, and away you go. And Leo Messi, he likes the notion of a couple of years in New York. Who wouldn't like the notion of... Is this going to happen, Phil, do you think?
It's interesting from La Liga's point of view that if Messi goes, all the so-called big names in football are gone from Spain. Yeah,
I saw Miguel Delaney tweeting that last night. Is Eden Hazard no longer in the top 10 players in the world?
Well, not in the season that he had, but I know he was injured. But he doesn't have the same appeal as, obviously, Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar, Mbappe, just even some of the best players in the Premier League now as well. So La Liga need him, because otherwise you'd imagine their viewers, they start to lose viewers. If you're a supporter, obviously, hopefully we'll get supporters back in ground soon enough. But if your team is playing Barcelona and Leo Messi's in it, you're queuing up to get the ticket. If Messi's not involved, you're thinking, Messi, not in the Barcelona team, it's not the same. I don't think I'll bother going to this game.
Look, there's definitely Antoine Griezmann, Philippe Coutinho, Dembele not going to do it for you, really.
Even if they did, on the pitch, if they did, as John Giles would say, if they did their stuff, they're just not Leo Messi. So they're not going to they're not going to attract the audiences that...
No, they're not.
That Messi does.
They're not. It was getting to the point where my kids were just old enough, I was thinking we should go and see Leo Messi play one time so that when they're older they'll be able to say, I got to see Messi play. And there's no way that you would be like, I'm going to Manchester City to watch him play. No, I'm not.
Easy to get tickets though, sure.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. And maybe they might start selling out some of their massive Champions League games finally. Nathan, what's going to happen here? Nathan's dead.
You've absolutely stunned them there.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, nobody really knows what's going to happen. And maybe...
What do you think is going to happen?
My feeling has been from day... I just presume this was a power move from Messi just to basically say, I don't like Bartomeu, get rid of him, and then maybe we can talk. But I suppose it's kind of sad the way it's playing out, that if he does leave, it's not going to be on good terms when you consider that he's spent almost 20 years at the club. He has been unbelievable for them. He's won countless titles with them. They wouldn't have won them without him. And just the fact that it could end so badly, that it could get to the stage where in 10 years if Messi wanted to go and watch a game in Barcelona, that he mightn't feel welcome there, which...
I think we were talking about this last week, and I can't remember who on the morning we did our Messi special. It's this president who will forever be associated with, and Koeman who will forever be associated with that. So the Barcelona fans, if Messi leaves now and goes wherever he goes, the Barcelona fans will always remember the fact that they had Leo Messi for such a long period of time, and they will always blame this administration for it. The new president will come in, he'll make Xavi the manager, they'll get Messi back, he'll do some keepy uppies in the centre circle, and they'll be like, they'll retire the number 10 shirt. They'll find a way to make sure that this relationship is mutually beneficial from a financial perspective and just from a historical perspective into the future. So it is a pity that it's ending this way.
But you think there's another chapter to be written?
I do. I think that they'll be able to make peace with the new president and his power. Like, if Johan Cruyff left and then comes back and becomes even more important as after his career as a manager is over, in terms of getting that style in and passing it on to Guardiola. And so, but if Manchester City and the City Group are planning to make that offer and they see Leo Messi as having this kind of long tail in terms of value, which they obviously would have if he goes and plays in New York, the extra 100 million, 150 million for the transfer fee, it's kind of irrelevant, right?
Yeah, but your money's no issue for these guys anyway. It's just whether they can do it, and they can, I was going to say they can balance the books, but...
Or find a way to make it look like they've balanced the books.
Yeah, exactly. So
apparently they can.
And if Manchester City get him, it's a game changer for them, and you can talk about their deficiencies at the back, and they've tried to obviously strengthen at the back, but and I know they brought in Torres as well from Valencia, but if you have Messi in your team, it's an unbelievable signing, and any manager in the Premier League would want Leo Messi. And I know Jurgen Klopp talked about it last week, saying that they couldn't get him, and people would wonder how would Messi fit into even a Klopp system, because the way Klopp's teams play with high energy. But you find a way. I mean, this is Leo Messi. This is once in a lifetime kind of player.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't matter where you play.
He's smart, Jurgen Klopp. He knows football. He knows a thing or two about the game. He might be able to get the best player in the world in his team. So this is Dagbladet TV in Norway report that Manchester United are set to attempt to hijack the Thiago to Liverpool deal. Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, the Bayern chief, has confirmed to the German media over the weekend the player is on the move, and the club expect bids, plural, in the coming days. Briefly, Phil, do Liverpool need to sign him ASAP?
This is a good thing. Basically, this is Liverpool. You want to get your act together, because you wouldn't want to lose him out to Manchester United now, would you? That's a nice little nudge there. But looking at them the other day, Ger, it was Community Shield. It's hard to know, because watch Liverpool against Salzburg a few days before that Community Shield, and you could tell certain Liverpool players had a lot of work done on their legs where they just did nothing there. But when Keita came on against Arsenal, when Minamino came on, they looked a lot livelier and a lot brighter. And it's going to be rare you're going to see a starting midfield of Wijnaldum, Milner and Fabinho. So if they don't sign Thiago, I think they'll be all right. If they do, I think it would definitely be a good bit of business for Liverpool. Just give them a little bit of an extra option and just something different, because that midfield that started the other day was the kind of midfield that if you're playing away from home and you're expecting, a team to come at you, that's the kind of midfield you want. But Liverpool actually had a lot of possession against Arsenal, and at times were a little bit pedestrian, and Thiago is that little spark that could get things going, which Keita did when he came on. But I think if you're Liverpool, you should definitely try and do this, regardless of what happens, Gini Wijnaldum.
Nathan, is there any prospect that actually the Thiago deal might still happen, and all of a sudden Manchester United have completely recast their midfield?
That Thiago goes to Manchester United?
Yeah.
Well, it would certainly shift things up in that part of England if they were to come in and steal him, and all the goodwill of Liverpool winning the title, I think, would evaporate a small little bit. There'd be a lot of frustration if that was to happen. Again, going back to the financial side of things, I don't think so. I think Thiago is going to end up at Liverpool. I think this has been pretty much set in stone. Also, I think from Thiago's point of view, you want to go to Liverpool. You're going to be a title contender next season. You're going to have a good chance of winning the Champions League next season. I'm not quite sure Manchester United are just at that level right now. So from Thiago's point of view, yeah, I think he's going to England, and I think Liverpool are overwhelming favourites. One of his best mates is Rodrigo, who's just gone to Leeds.
Which of the Rodrigos?
The
First
one that's
one.
just signed.
They're
The one that's just come in, I think.
They're signing a new one, another Rodrigo, apparently.
Okay, well, the one who's already in.
Okay.
So they can share an apartment, in Manchester. One goes to Leeds, one goes to Liverpool. Neither will be particularly popular if they're wandering around Manchester for dinner at night, but...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think Thiago will happen. Like, Liverpool do need midfield reinforcements, and we touched on it before. Like, this guy, everything about his footballing life has been at the very highest level. So he's going to come, he's going to add. There's no questions about him.
Former Ireland captain Kenny Cunningham has told OTB Sports, that's us, that he thinks it's time for Ireland to drop Seamus Coleman from Matt Doherty. Is that exactly what he said? I'm not sure. How do you expect the £15 million, 28-year-old Matt Doherty to fare at Spurs? Is it harder to not pick him for Ireland now he's at a famous club like Spurs?
I don't think it makes any difference to Stephen Kenny, does it? Where he's playing his club football? I think Stephen Kenny was brilliant on this yesterday, going to watch Tottenham last season a couple of times at the new stadium, and went in depth, probably his best answer actually, his most interesting answer about tactics currently in world football and how teams are using certain parts of the pitch but not other parts of the pitch, and how Spurs use the right wing but not the left wing. So Ben Davies, the left back, generally tends to sit in alongside the centre backs and doesn't bomb forward a huge amount, whereas Serge Aurier, Kenny was saying, plays an awful lot of the game almost in line with Harry Kane over on the right hand side. So playing in that right wing back role, even though technically there might be somebody in front of him as well in that 4-2-3-1 or a diamond or whatever Spurs decide to play under Jose Mourinho. But that actually Serge Aurier was getting forward a lot, and it wasn't from a traditional right back position. He was just in a very advanced role, and that is Matt Doherty down to the ground.
Okay.
So maybe those concerns we have that he's going to be Jose Mourinho'd and become this very negative fullback have been allayed somewhat by listening to that.
Okay, I have 20 seconds left here. Diego Costa is reported to have been offered to Spurs. Should Jose sign him? Yes or no? If not, which other Premier League club should sign him instead? Phil?
Don't sign him, but if I was a Premier League club, I wouldn't go near him.
Why?
He's got a bit of history now with injuries. He's getting a bit older. He's crankier. He's not going to serve Tottenham well because he's not going to be starting. So he's just going to be winding people up, and yeah, I think Spurs should steer clear of him. They've already got Jose Mourinho.
Nathan?
One of the great Premier League players and characters of the last decade. Another season of angry Diego Costa, even off the bench. I'm all for it.
Where?
Tottenham, not the worst option as a backup to Harry Kane, where they don't need him all the time, and they probably need a bit of character as well. They need a bit of fight.
Yeah.
That's probably his best option. He's not going to get back to Chelsea at this stage. Otherwise, you're looking somewhere.
I want to see him play Burnley. Play up front for Burnley.
Okay, rapid fire answer to this one, way over time. Inter Milan boss Antonio Conte wants N'Golo Kante. Apparently 50 million quid will bring him to Italy on a season-long loan with an obligation to buy. Is there any chance this happens with Kante, or will Kante spend the season in London winning the league with Lampard's new-look Chelsea? Phil?
Yeah, I think Chelsea need Kante. They need him because they've so much attacking talent now that they're going to need somebody to stay at home and watch it. So even if he stays anyway, I still don't think Chelsea are going to win the league. They'll get a bit closer, but I think it'd be pretty bad to let him go if you were Frank Lampard.
Nathan, quickly.
They'd be insane to let him go, but Lampard at times last season didn't seem to fancy him, didn't want to play him in that deep role, preferred Jorginho, preferred Kovacic. If you can get him, take him. I think he's still the best midfielder of his type in the Premier League. It'd be madness to let him go.
That's it for Deal or No Deal.
I signed for them after the Euros, and after my first day's training I was driving home, I was actually thinking, regretting it, what have I done? Like I walked into a circus.
It's amazing, isn't it?